Well, if you just tuned into the 1873 FM, thank you for making the 1873 FM your channel of choice. This is your platform for open, frank, and honest conversations in as far as shaping and defining the character and personality of the future that you want, the future that I want, the future that we all want collectively, and what kind of future is, and particularly when we zoom into the poultry industry and looking at its challenges and its promises. So, joining me this morning in conversation, I happen to be joined by Mr. Mike Bosch. I'm also joined by Mr. Mutumwa Mawere, and I think there's another individual joining us yet to see who it is. But, gentlemen, good morning to you, and thank you so much for giving up time to be on the 1873 FM this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Bosch, as well.
Good morning to you.
Yeah. How do you like the technology? Now I don't have to travel.
It's wonderful.
I don't have to come and see you. So, good morning. Welcome. We have this initiative called Banking on Africa's Future.
Yes.
And when you look at the world at midnight, you may be shocked that it's very dark enough because we don't know each other. And if we don't know each other, we can't do business together.
Yes, I agree.
So we are privileged to have you here just to get to know you as one of those individuals. When history is written, there will be a lot of words about what you didn't do. But here we are. We just want you to tell us a portion of what you have done to make life better for others, to make Africa what it should be.
Thank you. Yes, 20 years ago, I bred this indigenous chicken breed called the Bosch chicken. It's a cross between 3 indigenous chicken breeds, the Vendo, Wambo, and Matabele chicken. It's a tough village chicken. It can survive in Africa, and it's doing very well all over Africa. And the biggest problem in Africa, what I've identified, is genetics and fertilizer. We've seen with this village chicken going into Africa due to certain problems in countries, economic constraints, war, and that genetics have gone back. And because of inbreeding, the village chicken has got smaller. And by using this Boschveld roosters, the males for breeding, the genetic explosion that takes place is phenomenal. And it's giving the people...
Maybe, Mr. Bosch, when we talk about genetics,
yes,
do you agree that there's illiteracy that is so pervasive around genetics of anything, even human beings? When you talk about chicken, people don't even know what you're talking about. Crossbreeding, GP, GGP, whatever. Is it great parents, is it? And when we talk about Cob, we talk about Ross, chicken, indigenous. These are families, but they all belong to a family of chicken.
Yes, with genetics, whatever you gain on the one side, you lose on the other side. If you, my very most important traits with the Boschveld chicken is hardiness. You know, in Africa, if you go soft, old, or sick, you're dead. So you've got to be able to survive.
So you have your own GPs?
Yes. I have my own parent stock.
You got your parent stock?
Yes.
Okay, how does an egg become a parent? Talk to us about this genetics.
Well, you see, the 3 different breeds that I use each have a strong characteristic that you want to bring into the synthetic breed. Like the Ovambo is a very hardy chicken, the Venda is a good laying chicken, and the Matabele is a large chicken for an indigenous chicken. And we crossbred those three to have a synthetic breed called the Bosch that has the genetic strains in it to survive and thrive in Africa.
Okay, and I suppose that your name is part of the chicken now.
Yes, Bosch is my surname.
Oh, Bosch is your surname.
Yes.
So can we do a Mawere chick?
You can try, yes.
No, how can I try when you've already tried for me? Just call one Mawere and then,
Yes.
then I start eating it.
Yes, that'll be best.
Okay, so where were you born?
I was born in Zimbabwe,
Okay, which part of Zimbabwe?
east of Harare in a town called Morondera.
Marondera.
Yes.
All right. So what brought you to South Africa?
We moved to South Africa in 1983. I came down to South Africa to study at Pretoria University. And then I started working in Pretoria.
Oh, you started working in Pretoria?
Yes.
And then you become part of this. How did you become part of the chicken family?
I went farming in 1987 with my late father. He had a farm near Bella in Limpopo. And then in 1998, I started breeding this chicken. I wanted to breed a chicken that could eat the ticks off the cattle. And that's how I started up with these 3 chicken breeds.
Okay, and what inspired you?
What inspired me was the cost of dipping, of controlling external parasites on my cattle. And the cost of it was getting very expensive.
Okay. And on average, what is your cycle? How many days?
Well, I keep my breeding hens lay eggs for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
A breeding hen gives me 600 eggs in her lifetime.
Yeah.
And, but we only sell, we used to sell table eggs. Today, we only sell fertile eggs and day-old chicks, 4-week-olds, 12-week-olds, and point of lays.
Oh, and point of lays.
Yes.
And do you supply feed as well?
No, I don't supply feed. I buy all my feed in from a feed company.
Oh, and the formulation, do you get involved in the formulation?
Yes, because the consultants or the feed technologists from the feed company come and see me, because my chickens free range every day of the year, so they use more energy. So the energy levels in my layers mash has to be higher than the normal layers mash, and the protein has to be at least 15%. And I don't allow any animal byproducts in my chicken feed. No fish meal, no poultry byproduct meal.
Okay. And then what do you have to be good at because when you look at the chicken, we often look at eggs and the meat.
Yes, I'm not in the cold chain, so I don't slaughter any chickens. I only sell live chickens.
But you are part of the poultry industry, but you don't do all the above.
No. I don't sell eggs into the market for eating, and I don't sell slaughtered chicken into the market for eating.
Okay. When you look at race and chicken, is there any relationship?
Between, sorry?
Race and chicken.
Yes.
Is there any relationship?
No.
Because some
between breasts.
People are privileged. And therefore, if they are privileged, then they make more money in chicken than blacks.
Then what?
They say white people are privileged.
Yes.
Therefore, that's why you are in chicken.
Yes. No, I'm not. No, I wouldn't say I'm in chicken because white people are privileged. No, I'm just farming with chickens because it's a good farming practice in Africa.
All right. So yeah, have you ever heard people say whites and agriculture are good friends.
What in agriculture, sorry?
White people and agriculture are good friends.
Yes.
That white people conspire to inspire, black people conspire to destroy.
No, wouldn't say that. I think we have to teach one another. We have to learn from one another. That's the way forward in Africa.
So what would you say about my nomination of you to be in the bank of 10,000 names of Africans, diverse as we are, just
Yes.
doing our own little things, but in doing so, it means Africa is better for it.
Yes, the 10,000 people you're talking about, people in Africa are very eager to learn, and they must be trained in farming. Africa has got access to a lot of water and a lot of fertile soil. I think we have to work
Would
together.
you want to be part of the black and white picture or just a white picture?
No, black and white picture, of course. We must be together.
So thank you very much. So if we were to conspire with you,
Yes.
how best can we build a community of friends of poultry?
Well, I think we must set up maybe a website, not a website, or something on social media that we can start communicating with one another and start with training programs.
That's right. So, so I have nominated you to be an ambassador because even the Catholic Church is not flat. Do you agree?
What about the Catholic Church?
It's not flat.
No.
There's a pope, there's cardinals, there are archbishops, there are priests, there are nuns, they are all over, but there's only one pope.
Yes.
So would you want to be the one of the pope, a cardinal for indigenous?
No, we would like to be one of the cardinals.
So from now onwards, we call you indigenous cardinal, poultry cardinal.
Yes. No, that's perfect.
That's perfect. So Tinashe, any comment to our newly found indigenous? He may confuse you by the way he looks, but he is Mr. Chicken.
Firstly, I'm very much excited for him accepting this nomination to become an ambassador of the both. Particularly when you look at indigenous chickens, because many a times as individuals who have an interest in some of these industries or value chains, we actually don't have individuals that we look up to, and they're really inaccessible. And thank you so much, Mr. Bosch, for making yourself accessible and being able to share your personal experiences, and more importantly, exchanging ideas as to how we can be able to all move from the valley to the mountaintop.
Thank you very much.
So are you satisfied with the structure of the poultry industry in South Africa?
The structure?
Yeah, how structured. I know number one company in terms of broilers is a company called Astro.
Yes.
Number two is a company called Rainbow.
Yes.
Number three is a company called Countrybed. You know.
Yes, I know them.
Yeah. Are you satisfied with the democracy in the poultry industry?
Yeah, you see, in South Africa, you get the broiler people that produce meat, and then you get the egg-laying people that produce table eggs, and
Right.
you get people that produce broiler chicks, and then there's a whole lot of chicken meat that gets imported from America and from the EU and from South America. I'm in a totally different production system. I'm a village chicken, and my chickens free range outside, and they are chickens that do well all over Africa.
Yeah, I'm saying is in terms of the chicken industry, the mass market is supplied by what I can call prison chicken.
Yes.
And the participation of people, you have this indigenous, everybody, most people are indigenous chicken.
Yes, the indigenous chicken or the village chicken in other parts of Africa, excluding South Africa, or maybe including South Africa, I think if 10 people sit around the dining room table, 8 out of 10 will eat a village chicken and 2 will eat a broiler.
That's right. And the village chicken is stronger and tasty.
Yes, the village chicken is stronger. The meat is a bit tougher, but it's tastier. It's very tasty.
It's very tasty. And it
Yes.
doesn't get into the fridge most of the time.
Yes, you see the problem in Africa, there's only 3 preservative instruments: that's salt, wind, and sunlight.
Yeah.
Everybody in Africa doesn't have a deep freeze to keep meat fresh. So they only have those 3 instruments. So people want to buy chicken alive and slaughter it and when they want to eat it. And that they can do with a village chicken.
Okay. And maybe finally, next time we talk to you, we want to see your breeding operation.
You're most welcome.
On your camera, you can show us. And today we just wanted to see you.
Okay. That would be nice.
And now we will, since you are now part of our cardinals, we will call on you from time to time, and some of your colleagues you work with, so that we can get to talk to them, to know them, so that beyond the fridge, there's a lot happening in the poultry industry. And if this free range expands, then more jobs are going to come by.
Definitely. Now, I'll get my colleagues to be on the next call.
That's right. Anything else you want to say to the world and about you, about your company? Because we have not even talked about what to in your trading operations.
No, all I would like in the next 2 weeks is some good rains for all over the country. I think our country is struggling at the moment, or the whole Southern Africa, I think, is struggling at the moment with a huge drought.
Yeah, that's a big risk.
Yes, luckily not for my chicken industry. It's not affecting me that much, except for the price of the feed that's going to be going up because of there's going to be a shortage of maize.
Of maize, that's right. So, Tinashe, on your side, what?
What I hope, yes, what I hope for, we must work together, and I think we need more action and less talking.
Yeah, you see, the biggest challenge we have is we don't know each other.
That's the problem. We have to get together.
Yeah, and when people are talking, we often talk to people who don't count.
I know.
And people, we need to know each other. We need to start conspiring, Mr. Bosch.
Yes, I agree.
We can inspire each other. So we leave legacy businesses so that when we go, we don't go like Mugabe, who left with people crying.
I know.
And
yet, no.
And yet in life, he thought he was problems. He didn't know for 37 years he was creating a shithole.
Yes, I always tell people 2 very important things. You can't eat hope and you can't bank expectations.
No, those are, please repeat again. You can't what?
You can't eat hope and you can't bank expectations. You can't bank expectations.
Yeah, you can't bank expectations.
No.
And you can't eat hope.
No.
Hope is a place in Arkansas in America. You can visit it.
Okay. No.
but don't put it for dinner. You can,
I know.
but you can't eat dreams.
No.
So I think, to me, thank you very much. It's always enlightening. And let's look at the future of Africa. Do we need price controls? Do we need maize? Are chickens vegetarians? If so, who feeds them? If not, how best do we know the life cycle? That
Yes.
chickens don't look the same. So for those people out there who believe Africa belongs only to black people, look at chicken. Chicken can be in Japan,
Yes.
but it doesn't become Japanese chicken.
No.
It just becomes chicken.
Mhm.
And after breeding, it remains chicken.
Yes. I
We are
agree.
all human beings, and if we celebrate that we are in one bank of life, we added into the bank when we are born, we live in the bank, and when we die, we cash out.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
True.
and we, when we emigrate, we cash in.
Mhm.
So I call Mr. Bosch a cash in. So when we are talking about xenophobia, just look at Mr. Bosch's contribution to the South African economy. But he was born in South Africa, but it doesn't make him less South African.
No.
What he is doing, when you look at the chicken, it will not show ex-Zimbabwean.
No.
So thank you very much. I think those are the words of wisdom for the day. And Tinashe, on your closing remarks.
Well, it's been a very interesting conversation just to know who Mr. Mike Bosch is, and that he is the man behind Boschfield Chickens. And all too often, such stories are never really told as to who started this particular company. And when you look at corporate literacy, and most importantly, just the aspect of corporate heritage, the actors who are behind the founding of some of these institutions, their voice is missing in as far as just inspiring others that if they did it, if Mr. Mike Bosch did it, the next individual who's tuned into the 1873 FM, who could be watching from anywhere else in the world, they can also did it. So on that note, I really want to thank you once again, Mr. Mike Bosch and Mr. Mawere, for your time and just opening up this conversation so that others can also be able to participate in such forward-leaning conversations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All right, and that brings us to a wrap as far as this morning show is concerned. And make sure that you make a date between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. Central African time with MC Wildfire on the 1873 Drive. More insightful, more informative conversations to follow. And yes, who is it that you can bank on when you talk of chickens? Is Mr. Mike Bosch one individual that you look up to as a point of light? Yes, for me, I can bank on Mr. Mike Bosch of Boschfield Chickens. On that note, it's goodbye from me, Tinashe Mbasiri, the rest of the crew behind the scenes. Have a lovely day further, and let's continue engaging in conversations through the 1873 FM social media platforms, Facebook and Twitter. The handle to follow is the 1873 FM. Goodbye for now.
1873.
Do you think that the idea of leadership needs to be interrogated? By whom and where is this idea sufficiently unpacked?
We are a revolutionary movement, and therefore, to us, the idea of leadership must be only those ideas that can assist in the liberation of land. South Africa is controlled by land thieves, as we speak. People who came in from Europe, took our land, enslaved us, killed our gods. That's why me and you today speak English, the language of the people who have come here and colonized us.
What do you think the problem is with the idea leadership in that it is now not used for progress?
You see, it is part of a systemic problem in South Africa, at least. If you think about 1994, you see, we did not transform South Africa to be a country of black people. It remains a country of white people. The children of Soweto, the leaders in particular, when they were leaders there, what they've done, when they were in exile, they adopted a very important slogan: the people, the first, and then only then the individual. So these ideas of revolutionary sacrifice.
1873. 1873 FM.
I want to find out what it is that you have done for the people of Angola so far. I mean, you want to be the change that you want to see. So what change? Because we can sit here and talk about all the problems